September 7th, 2022 edition of the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series, brought to you by the National Urban League. I'm your host, Kenneth L. Johnson, president of the Harlem, New York-based diversity recruitment firm, East Coast Executives. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. The Digital Career Success Series, DCSS, is a professional development series that helps members of our Urban League Young Professional chapters and other diverse job seekers develop new skill sets that will enhance their careers through digital platforms such as webinars, Facebook, and Instagram Live. The goal is to provide an opportunity for professional development right from one's computer. Professional development, building your brand is all we're about today, because today's DCSS, Building Your Brand, features none other than Brandon Williams, manager, former NFL player, and associate innovation machines at Anheuser-Busch. And this session is sponsored by Anheuser-Busch. Brandon, what's good?
How you doing this morning, sir?
Man, I'm locked in, man. I'm excited. Listen, when I saw your bio and I knew it was you coming, I said, there's no better day, because you know what tomorrow is, right?
You got to tell me. You got to let me know.
Tomorrow's the start of the NFL season, Thursday. It's on. We got Brandon Williams on the day before the NFL season starts. So Thursday. I want to say Rams and Bills or something like that, man.
Rams and the Bucks, yeah.
Rams and Bucks. Listen, all right, we're just gonna drop in. We got the best audience in the world here at the Digital Career Success Series. Look, drop it in. Let us know what city you're from. Let us know what professional team you support and represent. Professional football team, and we'll talk about a little bit of that while we got Brandon here with us today. But in particular, Brandon, tell the Digital Career Success Series audience a little bit about Brandon Williams.
No, Kenneth, I really appreciate the opportunity. I want to give a special shout out to the Urban League and allowing me to just be a part of this. Special shout out to Anheuser-Busch, where I work at, where I spend a lot of time and have built a great personal brand and career network with great people. So I'm Brandon Williams, born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, went to the University of Wisconsin, played football at the University of Wisconsin for 4 years, held several records. And I think you just told me, Kenneth, that I'm holding the record right now for the most registrants, for most people who actually registered. I don't know about how many people on the line right now, but we ain't talking about that. We're talking about registrants.
Keep breaking those records, my man. Keep breaking.
Let's go. Since leaving Wisconsin, I went and got an MBA from Lindenwood University in entrepreneurial studies. I've been at Anheuser-Busch for a little over 19 months now. Started off on our Bees team, which is our digital sales team, building online platforms, building kind of e-commerce back-end platforms to help us work better with wholesalers and retailers, understanding data, understanding how we need to start selling in the future. Some of my interests are learning, business, sports, of course, fashion. They used to call me the Gridiron GQ, but that was back in the day. We're not going to talk about that either. I've been married for 11 years, have 5 children. And they range from 4 all the way up to 14, man. So I got 2 freshmen in high school, Ken. So I don't know what to do with myself. There's so many parent conferences and meetings. It's getting ridiculous. It's out of hand.
Yeah, you're a busy man. Hey, look, I'm looking at the chat. I see you, Philly. I see the Eagles fans. I see Colts fans. I see Texans fans. Everybody is locked in. I love it. Listen,
what's up.
This Digital Career Success Series is sponsored by Anheuser-Busch. Creating a future with more cheers starts by finding the best people. Go to Anheuser-Busch.com and speak to the AI recruiting assistant, Olivia. She'll help you out and hook you up with getting on the radar of Anheuser-Busch. In the meantime, I'm going to turn it over to Brandon Williams. Let's do it.
Let's go. So from a professional standpoint, I played in the National Football League for 4 years, played with the Rams, Steelers, and the 49ers. Transitioned from professional sports, went into commentating. So I was actually a commentator for about 9 years with the Big Ten Network, Fox, ESPN Radio. I had TV shows, radio shows. I actually did the Rose Bowl pregame show several times, covered the St. Louis Rams, did their pregame show for 5 years here on Fox. Also was in financial services, working at Morgan Stanley, BMO Harris Bank, and Northwestern Mutual. Then transitioned, did a lot of different things in the meantime, in between time. And more recently, I was an entrepreneur. I had a startup called Politiscope that I actually started with my brother who played in the National Football League, where I was his chief strategy officer. So I did mostly everything: communications, marketing, branding, logistics, background operations, all these different things. I was also a general manager for a construction staffing company, which led me to the opportunity that I'm here with Anheuser-Busch. I came in through our Leadership Accelerator program. So I know, Ken, you mentioned people going to our website, looking at some of the career program for the current job openings, but we also have a lot of career programs. The Leadership Accelerator program is a program that's specifically focused on helping minorities jumpstart their career inside of the Anheuser-Busch platform. So it's a really good program.
Yeah, and apparently it works because you're sitting here today doing what you do. So I love it, man. I love when programs are intentional, especially when it comes around to the lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it's really important for us to be able to build networks that allow us to be successful in our career journey. So thank you for sharing that information.
Absolutely. Next slide, please. All right. So before we really kick off, before we get into what are this what I call personal branding 101. And as you guys know, 101 is a basic class, right? It's a foundational class. And so today we're going to really hop in and dig in on what I believe are the foundational principles of what it means to build a personal brand. But the first question I want to ask you guys is, what brings you joy? This is a very important question. So hop in the chat right now. We're going to take 30 seconds. I want people to hop into God and family. There we go. What brings you joy? Tell me what brings you joy, because this is important for me, because this really speaks to where your personal brand can start from. I think your personal brand has to live in the ecosystem of joy, because when we can focus on our joy, our peace, we can start to think about our destiny. We can have clarity of a space in mind to think about, hey, what do I want to do in life? What do I want to be? Who do I want to talk to? Who do I want to touch? Yes, wellness, finances, God, family, helping to cultivate others. So I want you guys, these things that bring you joy, I want you to make sure that you write it down on a little note somewhere, or make sure you save this in your chat, because later on in the presentation, I'm going to bring back this same question, what brings you joy? And we're going to use it to create your 2-word purpose statement, okay? So remember these things that bring you joy. Next slide. Next slide, please. All right, so I have 2 quotes, and these 2 quotes are from, I have 2 quotes on this slide and one on the next slide. And these 2 quotes are from one of my favorite mentors. Some of you may know who Dr. Miles Monroe is. Some of you may not know who he is, but I have learned so much from this man's legacy that is amazing. And one of the quotes that he said is, the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but a life without a purpose. And when we talk about your personal brand and what you want to be, how you want to show up in the world, in the community, it has to start with purpose. I can't do nothing in this world without purpose. The biggest tragedy in life is not actually passing away, but passing away with all those gifts and those talents, and not knowing where you want to go. What's the next slide? So the next quote that I have is, when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Okay, so abuse is inevitable. And let me give you the true root of abuse. Abuse is abnormal use. It's 2 words brought together, abnormal use. So when you're not living on purpose, you're abusing your life, you're abusing your family, you're abusing your time, you're abusing money, you're abusing your destiny. So I want us to get in this mind frame right now that we are trying to live on purpose, so that we don't have abnormal use of time, money, family, our life, and people that are around us. All right. Next slide.
Hey, Brandon, while we're transitioning slides, man, I want to talk about this a little. So living with purpose, right? So for you, and this is just personal, for you, man, you've operated in a lot of different sectors. You've had success. When did it come? Is there an overarching purpose for you, or was it just, look, now it's this part of my life, I'm transitioning into this phase? How did it work for you?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think the overarching theme of my life has always kind of been to be a leader. I'm the oldest child of four, right? So I've always been in a leadership position, and to be a leader and to be an example. One of the mantras that I live by is called ICE: integrity, character, and ethics. And I try my best to live with integrity, character, and ethics in every single thing that I do. And so as a young person, right, you can't, we're not thinking about, how we influence in the world as teenagers, right? But as I started to transition into playing in the NFL, into being someone that I had did a youth camp. So, you got kids coming up to you and saying that they like you and that you're a role model. So once those things start to happen in your life, you start to transition and transcend from being an individual, which is why it's the why before the I, which is why I kind of titled this in my head, the why before the I, because I was living for myself at first. And then as you transition and become older and start seeing how the world is reacting to who you are becoming, that's when you're like, oh man, life has a bigger meaning. I have a bigger purpose. I got to do this. And I have my first child. That's always a game changer for you, right? Especially as a man in this world, when you had that first child, things start to change for you. And so let's hop right back in. I just wanted to kind of lay out a quick synopsis of where we're going to be. We already did a little bit of the about me section. The next kind of a few blocks that we're going to go through is what is a personal brand? Because I think it's important to kind of level set for us, that's everybody that's on the call, and kind of give a definition of what is a personal brand, how we should look at it, how it shows up, and how we should operate. And then the next phase is questions to conquer. These questions to conquer are really the meat of this presentation. I told you guys this is a foundational presentation. It's 101. This is not all the advanced strategies. This is the 5 questions. If you've seen the promo, the 5 questions that you need to answer to really conquer and understand who you are so that you can build this personal brand. And then we hop into a what now, where we're going to have a quick little exercise about creating a 2-word purpose statement. And also, I'm gonna give you one tip, one thing that I think you should do once you leave this presentation, if you haven't already done it. Then we're gonna hop into a quick Q&A. So next slide.
As we transition through, I just want to let the audience know, there was a question, can we get a copy of this presentation? What you can do is visit the Urban Leagues Jobs Network YouTube channel, where this actual presentation and this webinar should show up probably in about the next 3 or 4 days. So please visit the channel to watch not only Brandon's Digital Career Success Series, but past Digital Career Success Series. It's all you, sir.
Absolutely. And I'm going to give a quick shout out to B. Marcel. I don't know if she's on here. B. Marcel Williams. She actually was one of the presenters on the Digital Career Success series as well. So I want to shout her out. Go check out her presentation as well. So the slide that I had earlier, right, was my what I do, breaking down where I went to school, all these different jobs. But who I am is a loving, caring, sharing servant of God, and everything that I give out, I receive back. So first and foremost, I'm excited that everybody has joined this call, joined this webinar, and I appreciate you guys showing up, because it's the middle of the day. You could be doing other things at work. You could be on your lunch break, taking the time to do whatever it is you want to do. But now I want to really focus in on this slide, because one of the things that I love to say is passion plus purpose equals success. And that is truly what your personal brand is. It's your passion and your purpose that are brought together to create this personal persona, who you want to be. And I bring this slide up because it's kind of a thread of all the kind of entrepreneurial things that I have done outside of my professional workspace. So number one is a book that I wrote. This book is called Millionaire Mindset: 7 Principles Athletes Need for Financial Freedom. This was a part of when I was living my persona, and everything I was doing from a personal brand standpoint was all about helping athletes create financial freedom, right? So I wrote a book. I started speaking about it. I started really living that life. I wrote this book because I knew one day that my little brother was going to get an opportunity to play in the National Football League. And I didn't want him to go through the financial ups and downs, the socioeconomic ups and downs that I went through. Number 2, I created this magazine called Kingdom Man Magazine. This was back in 2018. I did this magazine. It was a digital magazine. It's a digital magazine called Kingdom Man Magazine. This magazine was all about helping men create, understand their destiny, understand who they are as a man, creating their destiny, and being leaders of their home and community as well, right? So we had all these great men that we brought together to talk to other men. Once again, it was about who I am. What is my purpose? Is to connect with men, and help the next generation of young men grow up to be a leader in society. All right, number 3, this was a podcast that I did called Athlete to Entrepreneur. This podcast was me interviewing athletes who had turned entrepreneur and talking about their journey, talking about what they went through, talking about where they started from sports to what business they're running now, right? So once again, there is the thread of what is my purpose, connecting with athletes, connecting with men, talking about business, talking about mindset, talking about life destiny and life goals, and what's your spiritual journey. And then number 4, this is funny that I'm looking at this right now, but number 4 is this company that I'm building called Bravado, BRVD. Bravado is all about your life, your legacy. It's going to be the first African-American owned luxury watch company in St. Louis, Missouri. That is the whole premise of, and I thought about making this company because I was thinking about my legacy and what I wanted to leave behind. And I thought about my grandfather, and I was like, my grandfather passed when I was 12, and I have nothing, absolutely nothing of material that I can hold in my hand that was his, that was a part of his legacy, except for pictures. And so number 4 is about creating legacy. So I'm not putting this slide up here to show you all the cool stuff that I have done and stuff that I'm working on. I would love for you to go to brvdbrands.com though, and check out, sign up for my newsletter, whatever. But I'm showing you this to show that you can create whatever you want to create from a business, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, all based on your passion and what you feel is your purpose in life. And that to me is the life thread of what your personal brand is all about. All right, so next slide.
Hey, Brandon, I want to jump in real quick. Yeah, this is this is like a setup right here. So I was going to ask, what's the motivation? I know that you and B. Marcel are a team, and now I see the rest of the members of the team, right? But what's the driving force? You seem to continue to create. You seem to continue to try to support and leave a legacy. What's the driving force?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. That last part, I think I just finally start to realize it's about legacy. It's about what seeds am I planting that's going to be passed on and harvested from generation to generation to generation. I'm not just thinking about me and what I'm doing today. I'm thinking about the grandchildren that I'm going to have. I'm thinking about the great grandchildren. Because the funny thing is, Kenneth, when I was younger, I would have this vision of me and my significant other, my spouse, sitting in the old country porch, one of those big old porches that wrap around the house. You know what I'm talking about. And we were sitting there and we were just looking out and watching all of our children and family and their children. And that was a vision I had as a little kid. I don't even know where this vision came from. So to answer your question, it's legacy. And I was going to say, you set this up so perfectly, because in the word of the American poet Tahid Epps, also known as 2 Chainz, they ask me what I do. They ask me what I do and who I do it for. And this is who I do it for. And Kenneth set me up so perfectly, right? So this was us probably like 5 years ago, right? Or 4 years ago, about 4 years ago. Next slide.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I know you mentioned you got some 9th graders. There they go.
All right. Yeah. This is us now. I think this was Father's Day. Yeah, I think this was Father's Day. So, I got my 2 14-year-olds. My daughter, she thinks she's getting tall, so she thinks she's gonna be taller than daddy. And then I got my 4-year-old, my 9 and my 10-year-old, and they just growing so fast, Kenneth. And this is really what it's all about. And I put these pictures in this slide presentation once again to go back to purpose, to foundation. This is my personal brand. Understand, My personal brand is about my family. My personal brand says I'm a father, I'm a leader, I'm a husband. I don't have to hide those parts of who I am to be out into the ecosystem of finances and e-commerce and commerce and business. I don't have to hide that. So that's very important. So next slide. All right. What is a personal brand? So I want everybody in the chat to answer this question for me. What is a personal brand? In your own words, what do you think a personal brand is? Let me give you 30 seconds to populate some answers. You, absolutely. I am my brand. That's right. That's right. What else? What is a personal brand? How you show up in the world. That's a great answer, Beverly Moore. I like that.
You know what's interesting about this question, Brandon? I always find that people connect their personal brand to what it is that they're doing right now at this point.
Yes.
And I feel that sometimes the driving force may be creating a personal brand that's taking you and pulling you where you want to go.
Yes. No, I love that. I love that. And so many times we get caught up in where are we at in this moment, as opposed to where we want to go in the future and how we want it to flesh out. And look, reputation that matures into repetition that I like that. Repetition that matures into reputation. Man, I'm gonna have to steal that. Oh, man.
Hey, we're gonna hey, we need Dave Gannon, the social media manager, to put that in a little blurb with your photo on it, and we can push that out across the social media feeds. I know Dave is on it. I know Dave is on it already.
That's what's up. I'll take it. Next. All right. So I found this definition on Wikipedia, okay? And I thought it was a really good definition. So I'm gonna just go ahead and read it. The conscious and intentional effort to create and influence public perception of an individual by positioning them as an authority in their industry, elevating their credibility and differentiating themselves from the competition to ultimately advance their career, increase their circle of influence, and have a larger impact or have larger impacts. And that for me, I don't know about you, Kim, but that was a very comprehensive definition that I said, look, I got to put that in this personal brand presentation, because for me, it encompasses all things personal, all things business, and all things impact. Because why are we doing all this? Why are we talking about personal brand? Why are we talking about your purpose? The reason we're talking about these things is because these things build influence so that you can do a greater good, so that you can do something for your community, for your family, so that you can continue to build things out for the next generation, so that they can live off the influence that you brought, so they can live off the authority that you have in the space. And many times we think that having this authority takes you doing so many amazing things. No, it's the repetition that builds the reputation. I'm already on it. I'm not letting it leave me, right? Continuously being consistent. So all those, like I said, all those things that I showed you, I was focused on the kingdom, I was focused on helping men, and I was focused on legacy. And those things are important to me. So that's what the foundation of my personal brand is. So let's hop to the next slide where we're gonna go ahead, Kim.
Man, I love it. You know, we're talking building your brand with Brandon Williams here on the Digital Career Success Series from the National Urban League. And he is dropping gems and jewels on us consistently. I'm loving this presentation. Let's get into this personal branding 101, questions to conquer.
That's right. And so for me, once again, we're talking about 101. If anybody's, we all have been to college, right? Or we all have been to some course. 101 is the foundational basics of the course. This is so important. I'm driving this home because I want you to understand that we have to have a solid foundation in order to build this personal brand, in order to build that influence. And so these are the 5 questions that I asked myself. I actually wrote a blog with these 5 questions and answered them myself. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm just throwing out these questions, right? So I want you guys in the chat, write down these 5 questions at home. I know you can get this presentation later, but make sure you write these 5 questions down right now. Number 1, who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going? What is my it factor? And it's it with 2 eyes, and I'll get into what that means. And then what is my source? Okay. These are important foundational questions for your personal brand. Number 1, who am I? Now, who am I is truly a question of identity. Many people who don't know their true identity, they live the ways of other people. They talk like other people. They try to just imitate other people. And having and imitating is okay in the beginning until you really start to know who you are. Children imitate, but I want you to continue to mature and matriculate your brand into really being your authentic self. Like I said in the promo, you have to know who you are so that you can authentically show up to everybody else, because who you are is going to authentically attract the people that resonate with you. They call it your tribe nowadays, right? A lot of followers. But if you're showing up as a fake person, you're going to get fake followers. So I want everybody to show up as their authentic self, and who you need to find out who you really are. So the question is, who am I at home? Who am I at work? And who am I in social settings? I want you to think about that. Think about how you show up in each one of those places. And if they are different, we got some work to do. If it's not the same person in every setting, we got some work to do, because you should be able to be yourself. What I say, Ken Ice, you should be able to have integrity, character, and ethics at home, at work, and in social settings, right? I get it. In some social settings, sometimes at work, you're going to do some different things, but who you are as a person should not change, right? All right, so that's number 1. Number 2, why am I here? This is the question. This is really the question of a lifetime, because this question really speaks to my purpose. Why do I exist? What did I come to the earth to do? Why is my spirit in this body? And why am I in the United States, in St. Louis, in New York? Why am I in these places? What is the purpose of me being here? Did you just come here to work and pay bills and die? Or do you have a bigger life journey? And that is truly the purpose. And there has to be a purpose for your existence. And I want you guys to understand, this is personal branding. It's not a gimmick. It's not some strategies. It's literally who you are. And the more you refine yourself, it's okay. The more you get more knowledge and more information and keep learning, the better the person you become. That's who you're going to show up as.
Man, Brandon, I'm so excited about what you're providing, because it's foundational work, right? And you prefaced it by saying this is 101. This is the foundation for you to build on. For everybody that's on the chat or just on the webinar, please don't hesitate to drop your questions in the Q&A. We will have a Q&A session with Brandon at the end of this segment.
That's right. So number 3, where am I going? This is a question we talked about earlier. What is my destiny? You have to know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, everywhere you go is going to look like the right place to be. And it's not. You have to really think about, what do I want my life to look like 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, next year? What do I want that to look like? Like Ken mentioned earlier, a lot of people think that their personal brand is the job they have today. Well, you may have a different job next week. You may have a different job next year. Is your personal brand going to morph every time you get a new job? It shouldn't. That won't be the formula for success, right? And I like that. I am Mary. I get things done. That's right, Mary. We getting things done. And you're going to get things done 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. But my question is, what are you getting done? What do you want to get done, right? So let's think about the destiny. Think about where are we going? Where are we traversing to? And if we can piece that together with the purpose and who you are, these are the foundational principles of how I show up, where my authority is, where my influence is. How do I come to a community and be my authentic self and attract people to me? Number 4, let's move it along a little bit. What is my it factor? Okay, so it factor, I used to use the it factor when I was doing broadcasting, when I would talk about athletes on the field. I would say their intelligence, their intangibles, and their toughness. I want everybody on the call to think about, man, what's my it factor? What are the things that I'm very intelligent at? My ability to comprehend certain things. I'm really intelligent. I have social intelligence. I have just intelligence at work, right? I have familial intelligence. I'm good at this, right? And intelligence is something that you can keep working on, that you keep learning. You can read books, you can listen to podcasts, you can look at the career success seminars, you can look at all of the past ones, right? And you can start to learn some things, right? And then the second I is intangibles. Intangibles. What is that thing that you're better at than anybody else, or that you're extremely good at that not a lot of people have this skill? So my intelligence, my intangibles, and then my toughness, physical toughness and mental toughness. We got to build people who are mentally tough and physically tough. What is my it factor? What can I stand? What from a physical standpoint can I stand? And what from a mental standpoint can I stand? Right? Can I take? And once you start to identify those things, you'll start to learn yourself and know more about yourself, because there is something that God has deposited in you that will impact your life, others' lives, and it's going to impact the entire world. But you got to be tough. You got to be tough. All right. So number 5, and I hope this is really impacting you guys. I hope you're learning something and you're taking something from this. I really do. What is my source? Now, this is a question of creation. This is a very important question. This does not refer to your ethnic background. It refers more to the source of where you came from. If you don't know where you're from, you will never know where you're going. If you can find out where you came from, you can also find out your abilities, your strength, and your potential. You got to find out where you're from. And you have to ask yourself, where do I get strength and power? Where do I plug in and I get power? If you pull a plant from the soil, it starts to die. If you unplug a lamp from the outlet, there is no power. There have been many times in your life when you feel like you have lost power, when you feel like you don't know what to do. Who did you call on? What power did you call on? That's simply what this question is really all about. And so as we really look at these 5 questions, they maturate you down to a place where you can really sit down and say, okay, I know who I am. I know where I'm going. I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. I know what my intangibles are. And this is how I want to show up. And then you can start to formulate. So these 5 questions have been the foundation of my life. They have helped me co-create my life that I lead today. And it's not easy. It's sometimes not fun, but I tell you this, it's worth it, because I'm not done yet. I'm 38 years old and I got a long, long way to go. I've created a lot of things. I've built a lot of things, and I have a lot to go, right? So next slide.
Hey, Brandon, I want to tap in real quick, man.
Yeah.
So I saw the quotes from Dr. Monroe, God bless the dead. Is that a big piece of kind of how you, and it's crazy to say find quiet time, but how you kind of process, you listen to speakers and kind of internalize and take some pieces of what they're offering and then apply that information to your life? A lot of people do. They need to know the people that mentor and influence them directly, but you really don't have to.
You don't have to, and I'm glad you said that. I have a notebook. Oh man, I have a notebook, right? And this notebook has about 120 pages. And this notebook is filled with notes from YouTube videos. Just straight notes that I took from YouTube videos, all from Dr. Miles Monroe, a whole book, right? And so this is not a game. It's not a game. This is real life. This is your personal brand. You have to really take action and be willing to seek the knowledge, seek the information, and understand those five foundational questions. I cannot stress those five foundational questions are the things that, like I said in the promo, going to jumpstart or restart where you at from a personal brand standpoint, because we don't want you to have a personal brand that is bipolar and schizophrenic and just shows up and I'm not making fun of anybody, because those are truly mental disorders that people deal with every day, but it makes them show up as different people in different times all the time. And I can't trust that, right? And I want to be able to trust everybody on this call. You want people to be able to trust you on this call because you want to get jobs, you want to build relationships and friends, you want people to buy your products, you want to show up and sell your content, do your webinars, do your conferences, and that starts with trust. And like somebody said, repetition leads to reputation. And I'm telling you, I'm sorry, I'm taking it.
I love it. Hey, look, you know what? I think this is a good time to take one of these questions that's in the Q&A. And the question was, how do you become an influencer? And I'm just thinking that a big piece of that is the consistency of your brand.
100%. The consistency in the way you show up in your brand, whether that's on LinkedIn, on social media. And notice, I didn't say the volume that you put out. I said the consistency, because you could post once a week. You can make a post on LinkedIn once a week on Instagram. But if it's consistent with who you are as it pertains to your purpose and who you want to influence and what your it factor is, people are going to start to think of you when it comes to whatever it is that you're posting. And that's how you gain people's influence, by truly showing up and by being consistent. So what now? I've given you these 5 questions. I'm really praying that you wrote them down, that you're truly thinking about them, that you're trying to understand them. And I'm gonna give you one push and one pull. Okay. My push to you today is get a professional photo shoot. Okay. I cannot stress how important doing professional photos is. Number one, it gives you professional headshots, and it gives you professional photos to use in any type of posts or whatever. People like looking at nice photos. They don't just like looking at your camera's photos. Okay. That's your selfies. It forces you to get a couple new pieces for your wardrobe, forces you to look better than you may look every single day, right? Yeah, I know everybody can't just wake up like that, you know what I'm saying? And so, but what it does, it starts to build that confidence for you too. That professional photo shoot builds that confidence. It helps you show like, man, I look good. Like, I like this. This is cool. I feel like a little celebrity, Kenneth. I'm getting my pictures taken and I'm posting them and stuff.
You know what? And there's another piece to that, right? So if you're seeking someone to do your professional photo shoot, but there's an influencer that you'd like to connect with, then you can tap into them and say, hey, I love your photos.
Yeah.
Look through their feed. If you see some professional photos, hey, I love your photos. Who did your work? And then that may open up the conversation where you can engage with them about how they became an influencer or how they're moving their brand forward.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. So that's my push. I've had several photo shoots, and every time it just brings this energy, this passion that I have for making sure that I'm putting my best self forward, right? I'm making sure that I'm growing and learning, and I don't want to put just anything out there into the atmosphere, into the ecosystem, because I'm not just about anything. I'm about very specific, very targeted topics, right? And so getting that professional photo shoot will put you in the mind frame. Number one, it's going to cost you some money. Anything that costs you money, you're going to value it just a little bit more. It's more valuable than that selfie, right? And so the next thing, I have one pull, and that is I want to do an exercise called the 2-word purpose statement. So let's hop to the next slide. So the 2-word purpose statement is just something very simple that I did years ago that I thought gave me a lot of clarity in where I was at in my life at the time and helped me build out my purpose, right? So I remember earlier, I asked you what brings you joy, right? So what brings you joy more than likely is something that you value, that's a principle, that's a standard that you like to live by. So I want everybody to drop in the chat one word or one thing that brings that you value, or that's a principle that you live by. For example, whether that's spirituality, whether that's connection, whether that's wellness, whether that's teaching, family, freedom, advocacy, I love it, legacy, education, God, security. All right. So these are things that you value. This one word is something that you value. And so now in the chat, I want us to think about our favorite action verb. Okay. So such as creating, cultivating, inspire, influence, foster, right? What is a positive verb that you can place that you like, right? So drop those in the chat too. So influence, inspire, motivating, agency, encouragement. And so this is all good, man. So this is what I want to do. So we have our value word and we have our action word, our movement word. And I want you to take both of those and bring them together. So I'll give you an example. For me, I value the kingdom of God. I value God big time, right? And so that's important to me. So my word is kingdom and my verb is influence. So everything that I do, my 2-word purpose statement is kingdom influence, period. Kingdom influence. I like that, Jason. Developing legacy, being authentic. I love that, right? So that's your purpose statement. Being authentic, that's your purpose statement. So that means everywhere you go, everything you do, everywhere you show up is in inspiring spirituality. Thank you, Ginger. That's your purpose. Take that. This is one-on-one, y'all. This is the foundation. These are small wins. Celebrate the small wins. We all got better today. Okay. We got our 2-word purpose statement. We're going to take that and as we go throughout the day today and tomorrow and move forward, we're going to think about our 2-word purpose statement. Promoting health, building security. That's you, Dexter. Building security. What are you building security in? You're building security in family, building security at your workplace, building security in your mind. It's a piece of like this your purpose, man. So I want to continue to encourage you all to make sure you go over those 5 questions. Make sure you write them down, really think about them, take this 2-word purpose statement and run with it. Because repetition builds reputation. All right. Y'all thought I forgot, but I did.
I love it. I love it. So where we headed? We headed
Q&A. We headed to the Q&A. That's all I have.
Now, listen.
I'm giving everything I got, Ken.
You can't say that's all I have. You gave us a ton today, all right? And I know, here's the thing, I know you have more because I've spoken to you, and I know you're a wealth of information, knowledge, and inspiration. So I'm sure everyone that's on the webinar today has enjoyed your presentation. But let's jump into this Q&A, man. I got one up top. So, okay. Looks like Miss Moore wants to know, in personal branding, people share their successes, but there is no great success without adversity or even failure. How can you use those experiences to shape your personal brand?
Yeah, I love that question because I use that. So I played in the National Football League for 4 years. I was drafted 3rd round, 2006. About 3 years, I got a check for $650,000. Okay, after taxes, about 500, 400. 4 years later, I had none of it. I filed bankruptcy. I lost all my money. I wasn't just spending frivolously. I just didn't have financial literacy at the time. I just really didn't know how to strategize this money. And what I did was I took that tragedy and turned it into the reason why I got into financial services, the reason why I wrote my book, right? And the reason I would get on stage after stage after stage, speaking at company after company, from high school all the way up to adult, telling that story of how I lost money, how it changed my life, and how it pushed me to not want to do it, not want to live that life again, but want to teach people about financial literacy. I went all the way there, right? And so that is how you can take a tragedy and turn it into a real story, because people want to hear that. People want to hear the real authentic things that happen to you. And so that's, I kind of wrote, when I wrote my book, I wanted to give some story and I wanted to give some game, right? A lot of athletes, they write books and it's all about them and their story and how tragic life was and this and that and da, da, da. But I said, okay, how can I weave that into actually teaching people how to do certain things? You know, so each chapter I teach about networking. I teach about how you should build your team around you, from financial advisor to agent to marketing person, from lawyers and tax accountants, so you won't have to owe taxes. You know what I'm saying? So I talk a lot about those different things. So it resonates with athletes, but it also resonates with people who may not have made it to college sports or professional sports, but people who are living everyday life.
You know what? I love it. Oh, by the way, AC, I see you dropped a question into the Q&A. Listen, you can find this on YouTube. If you just go to YouTube and search in the search field, Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series, you will come across the Digital Career Success Series channel, where we host all of the past Digital Career Success Series. And I believe this one probably will be up by Saturday, because Dory really is working over there backstage and handling her business. So I know this will be up. Hey, listen, so Brandon, I have this quote that I use, and it's called "Brand or Be Branded." So the story you just told is really indicative of that, because you could have been branded as the person that blew, or not blew, but mismanaged this piece of money, right? But instead, you've taken control of that scenario and branded yourself as a person that helps people not have that same thing happen to them. And like, that's the thing, it's brand or be branded. You can either live with that or you can do something about it. And you chose to do something about it. What's the motivation behind that type of action?
Well, I told you that I was the oldest child of 4. And so I knew that my younger siblings were watching me. And I knew that I had to make a pivot. I knew that I had to set an example of, okay, if I set the example of what not to do, I also need to come back and set the example of what to do and how to bounce back from bad situations, because they watched me through all of this stuff. And we talk now as adults, and they tell me stories of back then about things that I didn't recognize, I didn't see, and how they were inspired as my sibling that lived with me every single day, you know? And so that's impactful to me. That's truly impactful to me. And it changes your life, man. It changes the trajectory of where you thought you were going to where you actually believe that you can go even further. And so that's what it is for me. It's all about the impact and making sure that whenever I talk to somebody, I'm leaving them with something, but it's not fake. It's not some, strategies and tips that I could have learned and just have. It's just truly a real conversation. And I'm just giving you game from my life. And now you can take away from that and change your life.
Man, your transparency has been inspiring. And I wanna speak to this question here, because I think there will be some transparency involved in the answer. How did you decide to return to a corporate job from being an entrepreneur? And then I'm going to add to that question, or did you?
I've always, that's a good question. I always have had a thread of entrepreneurship in my life. My mom and dad were always kind of serial entrepreneurs, so I grew up around that. And so entrepreneurship is just something that I have a passion for. And so I did take a hiatus from working in corporate. I left finance and started, a startup that actually raised almost $1 million. And I want to tell this story. Look, I was a part of a startup, 3 African American men, 1 Latino man. We raised almost $1 million in 2018. Okay. I do not work for this company anymore. I was a founder and I stepped away. Just because you raise that money doesn't mean that you're going to have a sustainable business. And I say that to say that entrepreneurship is up and down. It's very up and down. And so don't get so enamored with, I got to be this entrepreneur solo. I don't need corporate America. Corporate America can kiss my you know what, because there's a thing called intrapreneurship where you can be in a corporate space and have access to entrepreneurial resources within that corporate space. But also, if you do it right, you can have your stuff on the side. But me personally, to answer the question, I had a wife and 5 kids, and I need to make some money. Okay, I need to get a job. That's flat out. I need to be a man and go and get a job.
I get it. And look, and if people go back to the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series, we've had a past episode called Side Hustle with Jessica Williams from the Midwest as well. Another Williams from the Midwest. Jessica's from Chicago, but she came on and she spoke about how to navigate the side hustle space. So that's a great resource. I want to get into another question from Miss West. All right, how do you get on the platform that will increase your circle of influence? Networking requires that someone with influence will help you. This is not always the case. What do you say to that?
I would say, first of all, I don't want you to come in with a defeated attitude. Okay, let's shift the thought process and say what a value can I bring to a network so people will respect and trust me, because I know you have value that people will respect and trust. And find the place where people respect and trust your value. Every circle that you walk into is not always the right one. And that's okay, because there's so many different groups and subgroups, so many different groups on social media, groups in the community, and just start taking people out for coffee or connecting with them at their networking events and just giving your authentic value. And I promise you, if you start going to different functions and start talking about purpose, and your purpose is to do XXX and impact XXX in XXX way, people gonna be like, oh man, I like that. That's cool. You're the influencer. Now they want to bring you and introduce you to this person and introduce you to that person. So what I would say is, don't focus on so much their reaction. Focus more on your purpose and what you're trying to do and what value you bring.
Yeah, I think it's really important to be clear on where you add and how you add value, and then craft a statement that explains that to the people that you're meeting. A very clear, concise, short statement. But you can become an influencer, but to Brandon's whole presentation, you have to show up, you have to be consistent, and you have to add value. So thank you so very much for driving that through. Listen, Tony wants to know if you're on LinkedIn, and yes, he is on LinkedIn. Brandon is out here. Brandon is showing up as his authentic self. We also have another question. Which NFL teams did you play for? I know you had that in an earlier slide, but let's just do it again, because one of those teams is my favorite team.
I was drafted by the San Francisco 49ers in 2006. I was the 84th pick in the 3rd round. And then I played for the St. Louis Rams, and they was in St. Louis, obviously. And then I played with the Pittsburgh Steelers, was my last team. Before they kicked me on out of there. Get on out of here, little guy. You know what I'm saying? So that's it.
I'm a Steelers fan, so I can appreciate that.
Yes.
So also, let's see. They wanted us to mention again the person with the Side Hustle Show. That was Jessica Williams. Jessica's out of Chicago. I believe she goes by the moniker Side Hustle Chick. But if you circle back on the Urban League Jobs Network YouTube channel, you will find Jessica's Digital Career Success Series. Man, listen, they're in here telling us thank you for a great presentation and things of that nature. I do have a question for you before we close out here. What resources do you use consistently to just kind of sharpen and hone in on your skill sets? Are there any books that you can recommend? Any groups that you're a part of that you may suggest to our listeners?
That's a good question. I do have some things that I do. I read books. As you see, I got a bookshelf, not for show, but I actually read these books. But I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a guy on YouTube, Patrick Bet David. Now, he has opinions but I think he's a forward thinking person that can stroke your thoughts and make you think. And that's always important. I listened to a podcast called Quick Brain by this guy named Jim Quick. He is he's like a mental and memory coach. So he helps you actually remember things. He helps you study better. He helps you digest information, because the problem with what we have today is that it's so much information. And it's like, what information should we keep and what information should we spit out? Because this brain can only hold so many facts at a time before it start kicking other stuff out. And so it's like, what should I be remembering? So Jim Quick, the Quick Brain podcast, Patrick Bet-David, I look at a lot of stuff that he does on YouTube. And I'm a big YouTube podcast, book reading type of person.
I understand it. Now we got you locked in on YouTube on the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series. Thank you so very much, Brandon. And thank you, Anheuser-Busch, for being a great, gracious sponsor of the Digital Career Success Series. Listen, if you want to stay in touch with us, you can connect with Brandon here. We have his LinkedIn URL, or you can go to IG and hit him up at I am Brandon MW. I love it. I love it. I love it. This was a great, great workshop, my friend. Listen, if you're looking to connect with me, please do not hesitate to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Kenneth L. Johnson, Instagram at KL Johnson Info, Twitter at KL Johnson Info, or just visit the website at eastcoastexecutives.com. This is what we do, and we do it consistently. Again, thank you, Anheuser-Busch, for sponsoring today, and thank you all for visiting and sharing your time with us today on the Digital Career Success Series. Next up, Meeting a Mentor, sponsored by Anheuser-Busch. Yeah, they holding us down right now. September 21st with Jeff Jones, Director of Quality, U.S. Breweries at Anheuser-Busch. This session will cover how to obtain and build with a professional mentor. Perfect segue and perfect follow-up to building your personal brand with Brandon Williams. Thank you so very much, sir. Listen, it's football season, so we gonna stay connected.
That's right. Let's do it, man. I'm excited. You know, connect with me. People always hit me up about their fantasy football. I don't know why, because I'm not a big fantasy football person. But hey, ask me your questions. It's all good. I want to make sure, because Jeff Jones, he's one of my mentors within Anheuser-Busch. So I think that's going to be a great session. Make sure y'all go register, sign up for that right now. Don't leave without going to sign it up. And I want to give a special shout out to our DE&I team at Anheuser-Busch. They have been doing an amazing job. Shout out to John Shipp, Tiffany Walton, B. Marcel Williams, Julio, who's on the line, Kelly Bonotto, Asha, all the whole crew. They are doing yeoman's work to make sure that Anheuser-Busch is showing up in the spaces that they need to show up from a diversity and inclusion standpoint.
I love it. And we're talking team today, so please do not hesitate to visit Anheuser-Busch.com to check out the career opportunities in Anheuser-Busch. Olivia, the recruiting assistant, is there, automated, tapped in to answer your questions and get you on the radar of this great team that Brandon just spoke of. It's the Digital Career Success Series of National Urban League. We did it again. Special thanks to Wanda Jackson for leading the team, Dory Brown for holding us completely down behind the scenes and doing everything, and everyone else at the Urban League Jobs Network team that helps us pull this off every 2 weeks. We'll see you again on the 21st. I'm Kenneth L. Johnson, Brandon Williams. It's the Digital Career Success Series.